You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show.
Today, we're talking about possessive love. We've seen so many parents model or train their children that possessiveness is love. But is it really? Dysfunctional and abusive relationships are often at their core possessive and can be very toxic. What is the difference between real love and possessive love, and how does a person move away from a possessive relationship? We're going to talk about all these things and, of course, more. Stay tuned to find out. We are married intuitives with over 25 years' experience who created the Ecosystem Approach. This is a groundbreaking way to see yourself in this age of Aquarius. We help you unleash healing and potential that is unknown today and is totally unique to you personally. This is not your typical type of energy work. We help you with life-changing internal discovery that is powerful, rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, how do you determine possessive love in a relationship?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't go to one of those magazines that said, three ways to know that you are in a possessive relationship.
Okay.
And it's because those are about actions, and it's never about actions. You could have a possessive action that, based on context, may be appropriate. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
We just visited our grandkids this weekend, so we're in grandpa mode. But a 2-year-old, you need to track them, control them, watch their schedule,
right?
Always know where they are.
Yeah, yes.
When they're 18, maybe not. But then again, depending on who they are, you might do that. I know that. Sometimes, depending on, maybe a teenager gets hooked into drugs, then that might require a level of possessiveness or behaviors that seem possessive that are appropriate for that child because of the threat of being addicted again.
Okay. And or doing something very, very, very harmful to themselves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I understand
so
now.
Context is really, really important.
Okay.
So here are the typical behaviors that are stated as possessive and dysfunctional.
Okay.
So I want to talk about that, but really, possessiveness, the best way to look at possessiveness is as an energy.
Oh.
And if you, in a relationship, you have to understand subtle energies to see possessiveness, because it doesn't come up and say, "Hey, here I am. I'm a possessive person. Don't date me."
Yes.
It's never like that. The only way that you can really know what possessiveness is by looking at the energy, or perceiving the energy in some way. And sometimes it's not immediate. So let's go back to the behaviors. That are stated as dysfunctional and possessive. Tracking activities and schedules. Like I said, sometimes that may be appropriate, may not be. But someone who's obsessed with tracking activities and schedules of another person could have possessive energy. No privacy. The need for constant contact, seeing other people's and other relationships as threats. Controls the way that their partner looks.
Yeah.
All those should be possessive behaviors, but you can't look at just behaviors themselves. I guarantee you, when you meet someone who's possessive, if you're a person who's dating and you meet someone, they're on their best behavior.
Well, of course.
They can have possessive energy, but they're not acting possessive.
But you might not see it.
Yes.
Okay.
they're not acting or maybe they are, but chances are most people, and I see this with abusive relationships, and possessiveness is a form of an abusive relationship.
That is correct.
But in abusive relationship, they always say, well, in the beginning, he or she was blah, 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 blah.
In other words, she seemed attentive and caring and loving and into everything that I wanted.
Yes.
Things like that.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're not trying to help you. Well, we're going to get to that in just a minute. We're not trying to create a way to a formula to determine if someone's possessive.
Of course.
Before you.
Well, and I'm going to jump in and say one person can show possessiveness in one way, and another person can show it in another.
Exactly.
So there is no formula.
Exactly. There is no formula, and that's what we're trying to get to.
Right. Okay. I get that.
There's always reasons for possessive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we're very controlling of my mother, but she's got dementia. She's 94.
She does very unsafe things. All the time.
Yes.
And she doesn't even think about it.
So you ask her, why'd you do that?
And she'll go, I don't know.
So
those things.
Are we being possessive? Well,
I'm not going to call that possessive. I'd call that caring.
Well, and the energy isn't possessive.
No, not at all.
We're just trying to help her
be safe and
have a good life.
And have a good life.
So
I agree.
So you can behave in a possessive way without possessive energy.
Correct.
And behaviors that can seem like they're not possessive,
right,
can come from a person who has possessive energies.
Correct.
A lot. And usually this comes from people are taught to be possessive.
Oh, you need to explain that because I don't think the audience really understands that.
I know, we've worked with so many people over the years. Now, we've went on 25 years.
Okay.
And we get a glimpse into their childhood, their parents, how they were treated.
Correct.
And there are lots of parents. People get possessive training usually from parents.
In other words, it's something that I'm going to say a child can actually see without recognizing what they're seeing.
A lot of these behaviors, and we did the show a long time ago about acting like your parents. It's inevitable. No matter how much you think that I don't never want to be like him or her. Chances are when you get into a relationship, these behaviors are unconscious and they come forward.
They do.
And if you came from one or more parents that was possessive or controlling in ways that were really dysfunctional, and you may say, I don't want that dysfunctional behavior.
Sure.
Chances are you will do that in some way.
Sure.
Unless you use the ecosystem approach.
Okay.
And that's what we're talking about today. We're going to keep talking about that.
Okay.
Here's the other thing. Possessive energy, this is kind of radical, but I'm going to put it out there, can be on both sides of a relationship. We think of a perpetrator and a victim mentality. So someone's bad and someone's just a victim of that badness. Okay?
Okay.
When you look at it energetically, possessive energy is always on both sides. Okay. We always see it on both sides. Same thing with abusive relationships, which are very similar. The abuser is the bad guy or girl, and the opposite is the victim.
Okay.
But they both have energies that connect with each other and almost partner to create an abusive situation.
Okay.
I think a great example, and we saw this, Mom was watching TV, so I get these glimpses. Okay. And it was NCIS, actually.
Okay.
And I'm using this example because I'm not violating anybody's confidence, but this woman was a Marine, and she taught hand-to-hand combat, and she was tough. She was fit. She was tough, but her husband, who was a civilian, was physically abusing her, and she didn't know how she could have fought him back
physically, and just beat him.
Right. But there was some part of her that couldn't come forward, couldn't acknowledge it. It was so shameful to her. And that was her part of the possessive energy.
Meaning one side and then the other.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I understand that.
And so both the victim and the perpetrator can bring possessive energy to a relationship.
Understood.
I suspect some part of her needed, thought that was love. Or if you're trained that that's love, it's hard not to fall for someone like that. So
okay, so are we?
We're ready, I think.
Okay, Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
One more thing.
Okay. Then I take that back.
You have to clear the energy. It's naive to think just because a person is gone. A lot of people say, okay, well, I'm in a possessive relationship. I'm going to reject that person and walk away. Well, and that may be really healthy, but just because you walk away doesn't mean that you're clear of the energy,
or you've let go of that energy, or done anything about it. Here's a really another example, and then we'll go to the summary. But another example is a father who is very possessive of his daughter, and then the father dies. Well, I can almost bank on it that daughter will look for in another person that same possessive energy.
Yes.
Because to that person, the daughter, that made her feel safe, loved, and secure.
Yeah.
When the truth is, it wasn't at all.
Yes.
Okay. So with that said, Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
Possessiveness at the core is a subtle energy. Possessive behaviors are just a reflection of that energy. Mm-hmm. If you just look at behaviors, you will never truly understand possessiveness. Okay. Specific situations can warrant possessive behaviors without possessive energy present, and possessive energy can be present without negative associated behaviors. Mm-hmm. Also, rejecting or separating from the person who has possessed another person does not remove the possessive energy. Right. The energy usually can be found in a person's emotional story. It's the emotional story where the susceptibility to either being possessed or being a possessor lies. If you have a dysfunctional possessive relationship in your past, the best thing you can do is remove the possessive energy in your emotional story.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about all the associated emotions and energies that are always a part of possessiveness and possessive energy. It is not just one energy. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about all the associated emotions and energies that are always a part of possessiveness and possessive energy. It is not just one energy, which I find fascinating.
Yes.
All right, Jason, what do you mean by associated emotions to possessiveness? You know what? It sounds really complicated.
If you're we deal with emotions and emotional stories every single day.
Yes, we do.
So for us, it's becoming kind of old hat.
But it's not really old hat. It's just we're very used to it. And we look at it all the time.
We do look at it all the time. And when we meet someone for the first time, mm-hmm. we see parts of their emotional story right there. It's like it's right there. So, but most people's emotional story is complex and is associated with what we call emotional algorithms. That sounds very nerdy, but an algorithm...
He's the nerd, I'm not.
...is a group of emotions that repeat over and over again.
Yes.
So someone gets wound up, they get angry, they blow, mm-hmm. Then they feel guilty, mm-hmm. they feel shameful, mm-hmm. then they're apologetic. You know, that's a kind of a classic symptom of an abusive relationship.
Yes.
The abuser is triggered by something that isn't right. The need for perfection.
Yes.
That's part of the algorithm. Need for perfection.
Yes.
Then the anger. Mm-hmm. Then the rage. Mm-hmm. Then the abuse.
Yes.
And then the guilt. And then the shame. And the need for forgiveness.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, and even the sadness. there's this sadness that happens. So yes.
That's a classic emotional algorithm. It just happens over and over and over again. It's not one feeling, not one emotion. It's a group of emotions. Mm-hmm. So, for example, let's say a possessive person is criticized at work and is feeling anger, shame, and fear. Anger because they were criticized, shame because they don't feel they felt like they were judged and feel unworthy as a result, and then they're afraid of being rejected at work or fired or whatever.
Correct.
Those feelings are common whenever a person goes to work and they trigger other possessive behaviors.
With not only within themselves, but within around that energy is around other people, and it can create a form of conflict.
Yes. Or they can go home and carry that anger and then be critical and judgmental with someone in their house, whether it's a child or a spouse.
Correct. Or the dog.
Yeah. It's these things happen over and over again. But once you start to think in terms of emotional algorithms, you see a lot of them around you. Maybe not for yourself first, but other people.
Correct.
The emotional story of both the possessor and the person possessed have aspects in their emotional story that make a possessive relationship work in a dysfunctional way.
But some people have been trained / programmed to believe that the only relationships that exist are dysfunctional. And it's just the way it is.
Just the way it is. That
by the way, we're here to tell you that's not true.
Our NCIS example, where this female Marine was teaching hand-to-hand combat, and then she would go home to her civilian husband who would abuse her. At some point, she believed, or she was trained, that a high level of intensity in the relationship is a form of love. There's so many people that we've heard this so many times, but I love him or I love her.
Yeah.
Why do you put up with, he does this, this, and this, and this? Or we have people that have come to us over the years and said, this person has done this person has done this, and they expect some sort of magic energy, juju, for us to with our magic wand to hit them.
And everything will be okay.
So that they'll stop doing that, but they can't break away. They need to be with that person. They need, and that's an emotion too. Neediness is an emotion. That fear of being rejected is an emotion.
That's correct.
The need for connection that's constant, and you don't have those things normally.
Right.
You're trained.
Yes.
And that usually comes from parents.
Yes.
Whether you're in a possessive relationship or not, there's always lots of negative emotions on both sides.
Yes.
And so this is, again, if you reject someone and say, I'm walking away, it doesn't mean that you've gotten rid of that possessive energy and then the circumstances that make you attracted to someone who's very much like that.
Well, and I want to say, number one, the only thing that we've seen, the only way to get rid of what we're talking about here, this possessiveness energy on both sides, is to use the ecosystem approach. And I just want to remind everyone that's listening, we're going to do some of those at the end of the show, and they can really help people gain better clarity about what they want in life as opposed to what somebody tells them that they want in life.
Yes. And part of this is knowing your emotional story.
Right.
Your emotional story is the key to this. So, if it's possible and likely that someone who's been a victim can then become a perpetrator. This is the other part.
Really common.
And and possessive in the way that they were possessed, because they believe it's love.
They not only believe that it's love, but they believe that it's power.
Yes.
And that power, they don't understand that in power that there actually should be limits, but they see it as being the only kind of love that they know how to receive.
Yes. I know that my dad possessed my mother. Okay. And, I remember having conversations a long, long time ago, way before she had dementia, asking, well, why do you stay with him? I mean, this is bad behavior. And she always felt that she loved him.
Yes.
And that she had to be loyal to him because he had helped her in a way that
no one else had.
Yeah. So therefore, the other stuff was something that just part of it.
Yeah.
But she had to learn that somewhere. And, we'll do a show sometime about, next show, spoiler alert, is going to be about hallucinations and dementia. And you can see a lot of aspects of your emotional story if you ever start to hallucinate or have delusions. We'll talk about that some more. But
yeah, we will.
And lots of possession is labeled as love. So if you grow up thinking that that's love, oh, I love you, and then I do these things, I control you, I watch where you are all the time, that I don't let you have any privacy,
right?
And you feel smothered.
Uh-huh.
One of the ways to understand the energy is that when you're in a possessive relationship, you feel like you're being choked, you can't breathe, that you can't be yourself, you can't, and it's oh my gosh. Warning! This is. Oh, I'm going to interrupt.
We're doing an army story.
No, we're going to interrupt this normally programmed show to say it's Mother's Day is coming up.
Oh, that's right.
And it's if you, chances are you feel that it's Mother's Day, I need to connect with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, I'm sorry for all the mothers out there that are really loving and caring, but there's so many people that I can't do it. They come to us, I can't go to my mother. It's so awful. I feel choked. I feel this, I feel that.
Correct.
And it's because they're in a possessive relationship with their mother. Here's the thing, that if you still have to go and be with your mother on Mother's Day, see it as this thing and listen to the end, because we're going to do some clearings at the end.
Yes, we are.
So you can start to see more clearly how that relationship is possessive for you.
Yes. And
then start clearing it for yourself so you don't recreate that later in life or even right now.
And here's something else about that. You're not if you start doing the clearings at the end, you are not being disloyal to your mother or anybody who is creating a possessive relationship. What actually happens is you gain clarity about how to deal with the energies that are between you and that person, or that person is holding you hostage in.
Yes.
And that's or you're holding someone hostage.
Well, another way of saying that is that in a possessive love relationship, there are rules about loyalty.
Yeah.
That can never be violated.
You cannot cross those lines.
Yes. Loyalty is often
very much
is very much a smokescreen for
I own you.
Yes.
I own you.
Yes.
In fact, I remember distinctively that when you and I first started doing the clearings, the removing of negative energy for me, you said, "Oh, I see this about your relationship with your mother." And I'm being general right now. I don't remember exactly what it was all about. And I remember saying to you with vehemence almost, "Don't you dare touch that. If I touch anything that is connected like that to my mother," and I would use my mother's expression, there will be hell to pay.
Yeah.
And I remember that so well. And I remember being very upset. But then I also realized as soon as that came out of my mouth, I was just repeating the programming that I had been given.
Yes.
And that it wasn't true at all.
We're often asked, what is true love?
Yes.
And it's also an energy, by the way.
Yes, it is.
It feels delicious, but so can possessiveness.
Yes.
And
true.
It's one of those things, as you clear the negative energy, if you can identify the negative energies, you'll just know what love is.
That is correct. And by the way, that's what he and I have found together. Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
Now you're going to make me cry.
Okay.
Anyways, possessive energy and behavior never exists in a vacuum.
Yeah.
It's always associated with other emotions, which are energies that can be removed and cleared. most of these other energies, which can be triggers, become what we call an emotional algorithm, which is a batch of emotions that gets played over and over again to create the same patterns and triggers for possessiveness.
Yeah.
Possessive energy is always on both sides of a possessive relationship. Unless the energy is cleared, the victim in one possessive relationship can go on and become the perpetrator in another relationship.
Right.
It is even possible for the victim in one relationship to be a perpetrator in another, all at the same time.
Right.
There is always a fine line between authentic love and possessive love. Knowing to see and perceive subtle energies is the key to understanding which is which. And part of that is your emotional story also.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about what to do with this information about possessive energy. What does it mean for you, and what do you do about it? This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about what to do with all this information about possessive energy. What does it mean for you, and what do you do about it? Okay, Jason, what can you do with all this information? Maybe you're in a possessive relationship, or you're afraid that you're the perpetrator in a possessive relationship, or even if your pattern has been that you've been attracted to a possessive relationship in the past.
So there are two key areas to focus to determine the energies that make you susceptible to possessive energy.
Okay.
The first area is your emotional story, and the second area is your Enneagram type.
Right.
And this is basically 101 for the ecosystem approach.
Right.
And if this stuff is really talking to you right now, go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free section, and then listen to our show every week, because we talk about how to deal with these energies, starting with your emotional story.
Cool.
So your emotional story is just the beginning. It's not what happened to you as a child or even as an adult, but how you felt about it.
Right.
So that understanding helps you see how you've deceived yourself and missed things about your life. So this is, people think you can figure it out. And we know, working with energy all these years, 25 years, that there's something about removing negative energy creates an insight that you can't get to by just cognitive trying to figure it out.
That is
correct. It doesn't work that way.
No.
So what is your emotion? A lot of people ask us this: what does your emotional story look like? And it's usually a formatting question. Do you put down your emotional story like bullet points? Do you once upon a time there was me, and then write about all the things that happened to you as a child? It's for us, there's no one way to do it, and you can do it any way you want.
Right.
Some people like to write. For us, we know that, for example, my dad was controlling and judgmental and possessive.
Very.
I started out, even before I even started doing this process, I knew that. I knew he was that way.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the clarity that I do now, and what I see is that how that affected me. That's the lack of clarity that I didn't have.
But with the ecosystem approach, brought you that clarity.
So as I started clearing my own unworthiness, my fears and anxieties, and by the way, that came from my Enneagram type, which is a 6. If you understand the Enneagram, it's a personality typing system. If you take your Enneagram type and you start to unpack that, you can say, okay, why am I a 7 that I have to go all the time? Right. Or why am I a 4 that I'm always so emotional? Or why am I a 2 where I love everybody, but I don't seem to be able to say no? All these things are part of your Enneagram type. And then you start to clear those things away, you start to get insights. And that's basically how it happens.
And by the way, those are personal insights for you.
Yes.
For you to learn who you are.
Most of our day, we're always talking to each other. She has to shut me up at night, because if I keep talking, she won't ever get to sleep.
True.
We talk about our emotional story all the time, and we're helpful with our emotional story, and and I'll say, "Oh, I can see this for you," and she'll say, "I can see this for you," and I will tell her about things that I figured out myself because I was doing some clearing, and I saw this.
Yes, it's pretty amazing. But the best thing about all of it, it not only helps us help each other, but it also helps us help those that we work with, and it helps in even understanding regarding the clearings at the end of the show.
Yes.
It gives us better clarity.
Yes.
It's amazing.
So let me give you an example.
All right.
My dad always pushed me and manipulated me to do things, which a lot of times interested me. He pushed me to do things that I didn't find uninteresting. They were interesting.
Okay.
And I didn't know who I was. As a child, I didn't know anything was wrong. I just thought this was normal. This is what a parent does. Yeah. And only after clearing my fears and insecurities could I see that my dad's fears with any clarity. I never saw my dad's fears in all that. As a child, I never saw that.
You didn't know what it was.
Exactly. And he helped me with a lot of things that I really am interested in, like
how about electronics?
Electronics. There was a time that I wanted to build my own telescope.
Right.
I did chemistry in our basement. Nothing. No bombs or anything. But and he was a chemist, so he brought chemistry stuff home for me. That was really fun. I enjoyed the science fair. I did that a couple times. But he wanted me to be an accountant, and that is so stupid. And I always felt shameful because
you didn't get into that.
I just didn't want to. I tried to do it, but I just didn't want to. And only after I started clearing myself to find out who I was. And oh, by the way, the best benefit, the best dividend from understanding your emotional story is knowing who you are.
It's amazing.
Most people have no idea. They do what they think they're supposed to do as opposed to who they are.
Well, and one of the things that I'm seeing, especially with Jason's mom, I call her mom, she's actually questioning, well, I did all this, and this, but was that really what I wanted?
Yes.
And that, even through the dementia, I've seen that she's asked me that question more than once.
And I guarantee you that
I was supposed to.
Because we've been clearing her.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really amazing.
It really
and it's also really amazing that he was very possessive of her.
Yes.
She's trying to be possessive of us.
Yes.
And that's one of the most difficult challenges that we have.
Yes.
In caregiving. But that's a whole nother story, whole nother, show. Yes.
By all means.
So, they often tell me, a lot of people after they've been clearing for a while,
yes,
they go like Mother's Day, they'll go home and see mom or dad,
and then they say,
I never saw this before. Oh my God.
Not only that, why didn't you tell me not to go? And the answer is first off, we don't tell people to do things like that because people actually need to see in a form of, and I really don't like this way of saying it, so you might want to help me here, but in a comparison, I used to see it from this perspective, and after I've done the clearing and removing negative energy, I see it from this perspective.
Yeah.
Wow. It's very different.
That's what's amazing about the ecosystem approach and an energy approach. When you start working with this, this is really, really effective to help get clarity in your life.
Yes.
And you can't figure it out. You can't take a test and know it. You can't, the popular thing now is having experiences that stress you so you can know yourself better.
I am not going to jump off a cliff with a bungee cord on my legs or however that
Well, I've said this many times. I used to jump out of airplanes in the Army.
Yeah.
And I lived, and I've had some really good stories,
Right.
Don't get me started. But, all those things that I truly tested myself and pushed myself and did that have a lot of street credit in a bar. If I ever went to a bar, I don't drink. So but didn't help me know myself any better. It's the ecosystem approach, understanding my.
That's exactly right.
So
that's exactly right.
Let's do the summary and then we'll talk about clearing.
Okay, sounds good to me. Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
The way to understand possessiveness in your life is to know your own emotional story.
And by the way, everyone, I want to repeat That is so amazing, even if you don't know all of your emotional story, because you don't either remember.
It's layered.
It is. It's truly, truly, truly layered. And it doesn't make you unusual if it's layered. That's usually the way we deal with it.
Well, and this story is something you can work on for the rest of your life, where you continue to uncover talents and abilities, fears and insecurities that were unknown to you previously.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
For both of us, we're understanding talents and abilities that we have that we always thought we might have or whatever, but that we never had the confidence.
I'm enjoying it so much.
We're doing things as old people that most people don't ever do.
Exactly.
I know that was the look. I'm not supposed to say that we're old, but we were old. So anyways, another way to truly understand your emotional story is through your Enneagram type. Your type is a collection of behavioral compulsions that represent negative energy that needs to be cleared.
Exactly. And by the way, I wouldn't trade those clearings for anything, because it's helped me understand who I am. And then I have a choice. Here's a real key. Then I have a choice whether I want to continue those behaviors or not.
We would never go back to before we started the ecosystem approach, even though we were younger. Actually, I think we're healthier now than we were then.
Maybe.
Anyways, I would never go back. So
Jason, let's tell everyone how to do the clearing, and then we'll go to the next segment and do
some clearing. Yeah. Yes. So you can sit, stand, walk, lay down.
Yes.
You can do something else. You can doing something, dishes, showers, whatever. There's nothing specific. You don't have to be reverent.
Yes.
You don't have to pray like you're saying, "Oh, I've got faith." Just go through the motions, and it always works. Now, sometimes you may not feel it in the moment, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't work.
Correct.
So, and when we say to eliminate, the verb at the end, to eliminate, in your mind's eye, in your imagination, gather it up in the tips of your toes
and bring it all the way up.
Blow it into the processor. Right. Moxie's putting a picture of the processor up right now.
Thank you, Moxie.
It goes in the top. It gets processed. It comes out neutral.
Right. And think about it. Toxic energy.
Negative energy. Dark energy. Evil energy.
Exactly. The enemy. All of it. It gets processed and becomes neutral. What not only better thing can you do for yourself, but can you do for the entire environment around you and around the world?
Yes.
So with all of that said, stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to help you see possessiveness within you and around you. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to help you see possessiveness within you and around you. Jason?
Here we go. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that possessiveness is best seen as an energy, not as behaviors.
Nice and easy. From the tips of your toes.
Take those veils and illusions
and throw them in that processor. Moxie's got a picture of the processor up right now. And I'm going to shorten it up just a little bit. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that people with possessive energies are often trained by other family members like parents and can unconsciously have possessive tendencies. Pick those veils and illusions up. You don't need them. Throw them away.
And to eliminate the stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in my life that could be the result of being possessed.
Take a breath and throw it away. And to eliminate fear, jealousy, anger, neediness that can be triggers and are often usually associated with possessive energies. Take a breath and throw it away.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that possessive energy is on both sides of a relationship.
Take a breath. Blow it out. and to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that people who are in possessive relationships have neediness and other emotional triggers that make them susceptible to being possessed. Take a breath. Veils and illusions, throw them away.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that a person can be a victim of a possession in a relationship and at the same time be the perpetrator of a possessive relationship in another relationship all at the same time.
Take a breath. Roll it away. You don't need it. And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that possessive energy is always separate from the people who are in possessive relationships. Using intuition and intention is necessary for the best outcome out of
possessiveness.
Thank you. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that true love and possessive energy are opposites, and being possessed is never a positive thing.
Good one. Take a breath. Roll it away. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that removing possessive energy from my essence and my life can significantly improve the quality of the relationships that I have. Nice and easy. Veils and illusions, get rid of it. You don't need that possessive energy in your essence at all. Jason, can we activate some life force? All right. We haven't talked about it in this show yet, but here we go. Everyone just follow along and I'll walk you all the way through it. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force energy so I can have hope and happiness and great health and the ability to see the difference between love and being possessed. What you're going to do is you're going to call in that active life force right here, and like go all the way to the tips of your toes. You're going to stop it right there. You're going to ask it to turn around and come all the way back up your body and get rid of that possessive energy. It doesn't serve you. Blow it out. Jason?
And to activate life force so I can have hope to have real love in my life without possessive energy present.
Pull it in, tips of your toes, and throw the possessive energy away. You don't need it. And to activate life force so I can trust that I can overcome the restrictions and blocks to my evolution from possessive energy. Wow, that's huge. Pull it in and blow it out.
And to activate life force so I can decide to focus on removing negative energy from my emotional story to be truly free and to find true love.
Hold it in and blow it out. And the last one, and to activate life force so I can, again, be happy and healthy, but also be creative and have courage and hope and be able to heal not only myself, but my heart and the essence of who I am now and in the future, so I can be the best of me. Pull it in and blow it out. Jason?
It just occurs to me, and then I'll talk about what we're going to do next week. But true love, we didn't really answer that question. How do I know that I have true love?
Okay.
And there's no formula. I guarantee you there's no formula. There's no magic. Gazing in someone's eyes doesn't necessarily mean it's true love. The way you know is an energy process.
Yes.
As you clear away more and more negative energy and you start to see yourself more authentically, both the good and the bad.
Yes.
Then you start to have a sense, and then you'll just know your essence, your soul knows what true love is and is attracted to it. It wants it,
yes.
And if you don't clear away the negative energy, you're going to be constantly confused. Well, I thought I loved him, or,
I thought he loved me.
I thought I loved her,
that kind of, it's true.
What happened?
True.
And by the way, it's the reason people fall out of love is usually negative energy anyway. So removing negative energy can be the best thing you can do. So
and let me ask the question.
Okay.
Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
Okay. Delusions and hallucinations, and can they be helpful? Oh my gosh. Our experience with delusions and hallucinations come from my mom, who has dementia, and we take them seriously and use the information to unpack her emotional story that's fragmented and unclear.
Yes.
And the information used to remove negative energy can really greatly improve her life. We've seen it already.
We have.
But
it also can improve ours.
There are so many drugs, both recreational and therapeutic, that have side effects that create delusions. And we can use that information to help remove bad energies.
That's good.
There's so much we're going to unpack next week.
Right.
If you ever thought that I'm going to take this recreational drug and expand my mind, we're gonna talk about that very frankly in a way that I know will surprise you. So
yes, exactly. So Jason, tell me about your heart.
Well, I love doing this work, of course, but if you're getting this energy up and down your spine, the back of your neck, and you're saying, "Oh my gosh, am I in a possession relationship? I need to know this. I need to know my emotional story. I want true love in my life."
Yeah.
You want true love in your life. It's about removing the negative energies of your emotional story,
right? So
you can see who you are and then know what that is.
Okay.
And as you know yourself better, I guarantee you, the people that come to you as dates, as friends, as people as part of your life, you'll see them more clearly.
That's correct.
And you'll have a better sense of who's right and who isn't.
So, Jason, how do you tell people how to make the ecosystem a bigger part of their lives?
Okay, it's very simple. First of all, listen to our show every week. And go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free section. You'll get the weekly newsletter. You'll get clearings every week. The more clearings you do, the more you see.
And it accumulates.
Yes, it accumulates. Clearing work accumulates. So the more you do, the better off you are.
Correct.
You can go to our Facebook page, theecosystemapproach.org. And you can there's all of our videos are there. Mm-hmm. Please like us while you're there. We'd appreciate that.
Yes.
So,
and the other thing is I want to say, come join us every week. Please enjoy what we do. We definitely will make you laugh, but we also want, our goal in life is to help other people.
People don't know about how to use energy in their life. That's what these shows are about, how to use energy in your life.
So we'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio, and you're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.